It's good to have you guys. Welcome to the Regenpreneur think tank. And we're just going to get started here with some introductions. Typically how we do introductions in style for the Regenpreneur think tank is we share something that we're excited about in our regenerative businesses. So I'll get started here with something that's I've been kind of working on, and I'll share it in the chat as well. So I mentioned last time that I was putting together a slide deck, and I did get it to 20 minutes or just a little bit over 20 minutes. So it's like 22 minutes, right? I'm going to share it. And if you guys have a chance to give it a look, please do, and give me some feedback, and looking for a little bit of understanding if it's clear, and if you think others outside of the regenerative world would understand what I'm putting forward in the pitch deck. So I'll find that real quick and share it. But as I find that, I'm going to pass it over to, I'll pass it over to Ray, who's also one of our co-hosts here as well.
Thanks, Josh. I did watch it already. I saw it come up on my YouTube, if this is the one you're talking about.
Yeah,
so it was good.
For our entrepreneurs.
Yeah, so I for me, what am I working on? So I woke up early this morning and I was able to interview, and this is what's like, this is my exciting thing. Kiss the Ground, Finny. I was able to interview him, and it was really, really good. It's just amazing, like the work that Kiss the Ground is doing, and it was just another reminder that, you know, being able to talk to different key people of influence in this space, building those relationships, and everyone knows someone who can help someone else, you know, and so sharing what he's working on and what we're working on, some really good overlap, and that was kind of exciting, good way to end cap the week, I guess. So that was at 6 a.m. my time, and it was really easy to get up for something like that, to bounce out of bed. So it was good. I will popcorn over to Corey.
Hi, my name's Corey. I'm from Minnesota, USA, but I'm currently living in Colombia, near Bogota, or in Bogota, and developing a piece of land near Bogota. When I say developing, I mean I'm trying to simultaneously grow a food forest and build the first cabana, which is going to be the start of a kind of, you can call it a resort, but since it only has one cabana at the moment, it's not really a resort yet, but I plan to grow it into one, where every cabana is surrounded with the fruit forest. And the first cabana is almost ready. The trees are 4 to 5 years old, and some of them are starting to bear fruit. So I'm hoping it all kind of times up so that, or the idea was to have it all timed up so that when the house is ready, the trees start giving fruit, and the forest kind of adds to the experience of staying there. So things are going well, and I keep trying to learn more, looking for tips and, that will help me out to keep this project moving forward. So that's why I'm here. Look forward to meeting Christy and Carrie. I guess Christy, you should go next. I pick you to go next.
Thank you. Wow, I'm so excited that you got to meet Finn, Ray. That is extraordinary. Yeah, that is something to jump out of bed. He's really, wow.
Yeah,
and I was just in, yeah, I was just in Bogota in January, and my cousin has a resort near Guateque in Tiburita, in Cundinamarca. So if you ever get up that way, you should check them out. They have it's a resort. It's like a 13-room hotel. They're open Thursdays through Sunday, and they have 2 spas. Well, it's like a hot pool, like a spring, hot spring comes into the pools there. And it's a big spot for Bogota people. On the weekends, they bring their families. They have a little cafe and restaurant. So, if you're up in that neighborhood, if you go up the mountain a bit, you'll see them at Malo del Rio. Malo del Rio. Yeah. They're on the Manta River there. It's just extraordinary. Colombia is beautiful. You're in an awesome space. So my name's Christy Abbott. I'll introduce myself. And I'm a permaculture educator, and I've been mentoring someone in Africa for 4 years, and he's turned out to be this extraordinary teacher over there and has invited me to come and teach with him. And so that's one of the projects that I'm up to. And then also my neighbor has moringa that he's growing, and I've been harvesting and drying and powdering and pilling his moringa. And I have a small group of homeschoolers that I teach the whole family. We're working on each, there's like 4. We've already done a daycare, and we're doing 2 other homes of the homeschoolers, kind of perma-blitzing their homes and getting food forests in their backyards, no matter the size. So I'm really a soil builder and a seed saver, and just to regenerate the soil on the planet really is like my passion. And that's why I'm here.
Wonderful. Well, it's good to have you here, Christy. I think it's your first time, right?
It's my first time. I'm a
Awesome.
newbie. I don't know what the
Well,
heck
welcome.
I'm doing.
No, you're doing right. You showed up and you're sharing. So thank you, Christy. If you could just pass it over to someone that hasn't gone yet.
Let's see. Is it Carrie? Carrie Harlan?
Yes. Hello, can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Awesome. My internet is not always the greatest, but today I guess it's a winner. So my name's Carrie Harlan. I am currently in Eastern Appalachian, Ohio, and I live on a cat farm with 3 dog sledding huskies and 2 huskies in a mutt. And let's see. I am an executive coach. I'm actually a pending executive coach. I got my certification, and I am wanting to executive coach because I want to form a startup accelerator to help introduce a lot more corporate wellness and health and wellness and chronic disease alleviation into the world. And that's my goal. I come from a background of chronic disease, personal, family, and nobody should have to live what we went through. I lost my mom, and I almost probably lost myself several times through the years, and was disabled for a while. But I am just very passionate about basically regenerating people. That's what I'm doing. And so it's awesome to have you all here, and great to see you, Josh. And I think Ray, I've met you before. Anyone else? But yes, nice to see you all. Thanks for having me.
Carrie, your story is so much stronger than when we were first kind of chatting about it, and we kind of unsure of where you were going with it. So I'm loving it. Good to hear. So Russ and Michael are the only 2 I think that's are left.
Okay, well, how about Russ?
Hi guys. Yeah, I'll stick on the camera, it's getting dark. Hope everything's good. So I'm in Colombia. My name is Russell, and I have been here 5 years, and started off with moving from Europe and, kind of traveling the world as a family and volunteering, kind of going from being a city boy to then, understanding what it was to be a global citizen, and we were going from place to place as volunteers. And whilst in India, got involved in a project called Sadhana Forest, which is a reforestation project, and that's where I first came across permaculture and the idea of all the amazing things that science can do for us, on a small scale or a super large scale. And so after being there and then continuing to volunteer and travel the world, excuse me, I'm still studying and learning more. Eventually ended up in Colombia, and we started a project called Love Grows. We bought basically an ex cattle farm, hill farm in somewhere called the Sierra Nevada of Santa Marta, which is basically surrounded by indigenous cultures and tribes. And been here 5 years. Our project's called Love Grows, and it's basically a permaculture school and a self-development center. So we've held retreats, and that is the plan going forward. Again, just starting to actually open up again. I think there's a couple of people actually going to be joining me face to face. I've been up there by myself for about the last 8 months by myself. So it'd be nice to actually have some living people there as well. And this year we did a summit called Generation Regeneration, basically sharing good news from other people. You put on the TV news and it's just bad news, right? Sensational bad news. The reality is there's many people probably like you guys who are doing amazing things, and it's great that we could share that with the broader audience. A lot of people are kind of maybe stuck with the idea, I don't know what to do, it seems like too big a problem. But when you break it down into simple actionable steps, actually then everybody can do it. If everybody does a little thing, it really becomes a very big thing. So it's empowering people on a local scale. At the same time, I see the need to scale and to speed up certain things. So currently I'm also working in the UK, where I'm from, and we've formed a company called sustainablenetwork.com, which basically links investors with innovators in the sustainability space. So I'm Russell, and nice to meet you all. And whoever's left is Matt, I think what it was, right? So you're next, my friend.
Michael, yeah, go ahead.
Michael, go.
Hi, nice to meet you. I already met Russ before. My name is Michael. I'm from Israel, and I'm trying to there's a project I'm involved with. It's a very long time project, but we're trying to gain momentum and accelerate it. We're building a generator which has the potential to disrupt the energy market, and we hope to be in a state that by about 2030, young people will say something like, oh, climate change, this is so 2020. So we have the technology to achieve this. We have some formidable challenges. One of them is the technology is a bit too good to be true, or it sounds like this. So we find difficulty to get the initial investment. Another challenge is that our team is not the corporate dream team that most investors are looking for. But the good news is that the technology is real and it is very scalable. So there is no need for a giant investment in infrastructure for it to pick up momentum. You can do it a generator by generator, and the basic product that we hope to bring to market is basically something that you can envision like a small diesel generator that doesn't require any diesel. It turns the heat from the air into electricity, so you will have one unit maybe outside of the house, like you install an AC. It will cool the air around it, and it will take the energy from this heat that it absorbs from the energy and will convert it to enough usable energy for an average household, a US household, which is about 2 European households. Just an interesting factoid that American use about twice as energy as Europeans.
I believe it.
Yeah, so that's where we're at.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael, for sharing, and everybody else for sharing their ventures, what they're excited about, and what they're working on. So the next part of the Regenpreneur think tank that we do here is we start to open it up for, well, first, actually, I should get to this. We open it up for events and any exciting things that are happening within our own businesses that are on the calendar. We can share that here, or any other events that will be coming up that maybe we would want to attend. So does anybody have anything that's coming up in the coming week or so that we could share? Just raise your hand or unmic yourself. Go ahead, Ray.
As always, we're always running events. Our next live webinar is in about 4 days. I'll pop the link in the chat, but it's basically off the IPCC report. You know, basically it's code red, it's global emergency, and I think now more than ever we need to equip ourselves with new habits and mindset framing in order to change our paradigms. And so we've partnered with a mindset coach called Paul Blackburn. You know, some of the advice that I've been giving in this room is don't ask how, ask who. And so I asked who can help with mindset and building habits. And Paul Blackburn happens to have a 21-day challenge, which we'll be running and launching next week. And it'll be 21 days of small bite-sized morning routines that you can do over a 21-day to building new habits. And so I think this is very timely and an event that I would love if everyone could share far and wide. And I know the time zones might not work for all the global time zones, but the replay experience will be just as good. It is a paid challenge, but the webinar that will be full of tips and tricks and framework will be on Monday, our Monday, which will be your Sunday. So yeah, if you can come along and it works with time zone, I think it's really important for us to build in frameworks on how to change our habits and do things a bit differently and not get overwhelmed with this code red emergency that's been put in front of us.
Awesome. Very cool. So you put that in the link. I think I've heard Paul Blackburn before somewhere. So he must be
we had him as our summit mindset coach as well. He's been working with Farming Secrets for a very long time. So he was in our summit, helping people through change during the transition of regen farming. And so he's mindset coach and someone who our network has found really useful. And he also is very empathetic because he comes from a farming background and grew up on the land, so he can completely understand the paradigm shift that needs to happen when it comes to regenerating and healing our planet, and how that needs to work in our mindset as well. So yeah, he's someone we keep in our inner circle and leaned on him to say, how can you help us during this? And we're rushing this. It's like there's not a lot of thought to it. We just basically said like we need to get this done soon. So we're just like hacking it together and building the runway as the plane takes off. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, that sounds good. Sounds like a great event. Thanks for sharing. I'm trying to think. Regen pollination is not this week. but it is next Friday, and that is the, I want to say it's the 10 a.m. Event. So that is probably not best for like Australia and Oceania, but it is good for those in Europe if you want to make it, and those in Pacific. Oh, Christy has her hand raised as well.
Hello, I see somebody put my cousin's place right in the chat. That's their place. That's it. Thank you, Corey. That's awesome. Thank you for supporting them. That I don't know if they were open. They were closed, due to COVID. Everybody's scared, but if they're open, please visit. It's awesome. They're wonderful people. I'm a planning committee member on the board of the Florida Permaculture Convergence, and we've just announced this year's event in November. Yesterday we opened it up, so tickets are now available, and we have a schedule. That's a skeleton schedule, but we'll be filling it in as we get closer and as the details get more alive and full. So I just wanted to share that with you as well. I guess I could put that in the chat.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else with events? If not, we'll go into our challenge section of the think tank, where we open it up for challenges and struggles that we're having in our business, and we think tank those together and work through them. So I'm going to open up to the floor. Who's got a challenge? Raise your hand, or just start unmiking yourself and chatting so we can work through it. Go ahead, Michael.
Oh, great, thank you. So I don't have any lack of challenges. That's the one challenge is a kind of on a personal level and on a practical level. Our chief scientist is very old, and I need to make sure, because now we are gaining momentum after a few years that we were kind of on less active, and now the pandemic forced us to be more isolated, and I basically need, as I contact investors and get ready for picking up speed, I need to make sure that it's up to the task, which is kind of on a personal and political level, and also on a practical level, it's a kind of a challenge. So I need to find a way to be very direct with him and to get a full picture if he is willing to get involved with the process on a very, daily, for at least a few hours, at least few times a week. And also to make sure that his mental state is, is not deteriorating. Not to have the Biden effect, or to be more politically correct, the Ronald Reagan effect, because now everybody knows that when he said he didn't remember about the contrast deal, probably not, it wasn't about politics, he was simply sclerotic. So it is a real problem that as people get old, not to be ageist, but the reality is that I have to find a way to work with him. And as a former Soviet Union scientist, as an old Russian guy, these are things you don't talk about. You don't
So
talk
Michael-
about aging, you don't talk about dying. So I need to find a way to do it without raising his defenses and, you know, relegating the enemy section of the world. So that's a big challenge I'm facing in the coming days. So if anybody
Michael-
has any suggestions, I would love to hear.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, let's open up to the room. What can we do to help Michael in his efforts, or any thoughts here?
Is the challenge that you have for him, is it more that you don't know how to approach his age, or is there a possibility of replacing him, or you are concerned that his memory and ideas are less accomplished as they were? I'm not sure what the challenge.
Okay, I
exactly.
didn't give you the full information. So he developed the technology behind the generator. It is
Okay.
very well documented. So in theory, other people can replace him. In practice, he's been developing this technology for 20 years. To find somebody else to fill his shoes will be almost impossible. So
Does he have an apprentice?
no, not really. No, look, it is possible if God forbid something will happen to him tomorrow, it doesn't necessarily mean that I will completely abandon the project, but then it's a completely different project. Our assumption is that he's the chief scientist and he's around to take it to the next levels. When there will be a prototype and a product and hopefully mass scale production, you know, that's a different story, because you can gain the momentum to find other people and you know, train them, etc. But at the moment, we really need him. So
there's a
I have to make sure.
Michael, is there a patent on it, on the technology?
No, not really. It's all in the public domain. We are considering patent protection, but at the moment, the basic technology is all in the public domain. And we had some patent pending applications that we deliberately let expire. So they are also in the public domain. And there are books and articles about it. But going from the technology and the books and the articles to intimately understanding it, not to mention making experiments and building a prototype, is very different. You know, it's like only to grasp the basic ideas will take a physicist, let's say, you know, to gain a basic understanding, you can do it in a few hours, but to gain a deeper understanding, probably 2 or 3 months. And that's only the beginning. So it's a formidable task to fill his shoes. And there are not many people in the world that are proficient in this kind of physics and mathematics. This is why it's innovative. You know, it's normal, you know, it's mathematics. Anybody that understands the mathematics can follow it. But to gain the intimacy with the knowledge that is required to really make a product, that's something very different. That's the difference between the physics and the engineering. So he not only he developed the physics, he also developed several iterations of the engineering behind it. So ideally, if he's up for the task, if I can rely on him to be, you know, to be able to work for a few hours most days for, you know, a few months, this will be the ideal situation that we can at least get it to a milestone that is enough of, there is enough critical mass here that even if something happens to him, we will have the critical mass to of the technology to get support from others, other physicists and engineers and VCs, etc., investors, to enable proceeding without him. But we need to get to this milestone. Ideally, we need him for the next few months. And I know he's interested, but I also know that he has at least a bit of a mental decline in the last few years. So I really need to get the picture if he's not starting to forget the physics, etc.
So I think we have a good understanding of the challenge, just based on what you've been saying. I couldn't tell you that I've ever been in this situation, but I could give you just a thought that's coming into mind is yeah, like Christy was saying, is there anybody that can work on a very intellectual level with this person? So I would be searching for and asking for people and knowing who's doing similar things, right? Doing the research to know if there's anybody out there that's done anything similar or could understand the physics of it and the engineering of the product that could work alongside him to unpack it as quickly as possible. If there is loss in that realm of memory and his age being a factor there, I think that would be a good way for him to actually feel like his work is also being completed, is being able to pass it on to someone that understands it really well before he moves into another state where he's unable to do the work. And it sounds like his work hours are starting to come down. He's probably not wanting to work as much, or it's harder for him to work longer hours to accomplish it. But if you could find someone that could resonate with him, and again, I think it's a personality match as well, right? Not everybody can work well together to accomplish something really, really difficult as getting a product to market that's highly specific and technical. So I think it's trying to get in front of as many people as you could or can to bring that forward. Is there any other thoughts? Michelle, I know you entered a little later, but it's good to have you. If you have any thoughts, we'd love to hear from you. And then you could also just share a little bit about yourself as well.
Oh, thanks. I put in the chat, turning it back to him a little bit and sort of patting him on the back and being like, I'm really concerned that that you might not be able to leave your legacy behind. What can we do to assure that your legacy will remain, that someone can pick it up?
Michael, sorry, I muted you just because we get a lot of feedback from your mic. When you're done speaking, could you just mute yourself, and then when you're ready to speak, unmute, that'd be helpful. Thank you.
Did you want me to say that again, or am I good?
No, we heard it. We heard it well. And I think Michael is responding to it, but I muted him.
I think both of your suggestions are partially doable. I think anyway we need him for the next few months, even if he's as he passes his knowledge. Regarding asking him about his legacy, the mental him being who he is virtually impossible. And this is something he explicitly told me. You know, it's not my speculation. You know, I don't want to hog the conversation, so maybe I'll just simply ask, you know, if you have, like on a general level, how would you approach an uncomfortable talk, maybe with a spouse or a business partner, about a subject you know they don't like to talk about? Like, if you have any suggestions, how can I approach it, you know, and try to be practical, not make too big of a deal with it? Like, any input, you know, would be helpful.
I have a few thoughts.
Go ahead, Carrie. Thank you.
Number one, I may know a Russian physicist. Number two, I was thinking on the lines of talking to people about uncomfortable subjects. I was thinking that it might be helpful to maybe approach it kind of like a team meeting, to find out where everyone is at, talk about what is going to be required, and talk about who is wanting to play what role and how much time they're, and just kind of make it like a team approaching, just a team approach, instead of just to him, you know, taking him aside and saying, you know, just taking each person and asking, you know, what they want to contribute, what they're able to contribute, you know, and also keeping in mind, number one is what's in it for him and where he's coming from and what are his motivations. And if you can understand his motivation, then you can use that to kind of speak to that motivation. And those are just kind of a couple things that came to mind. So I hope that was helpful.
Great, thank you.
Awesome. Go ahead.
If I
Carrie.
do actually know, I believe I know a Russian physicist. If he is a physicist, as I think he is, do you want me to, I don't know. I haven't talked to him for a very, very long time, but I don't know. Just throwing that out there for what it is worth.
Possible connection there for you, Michael. Maybe the two of you exchange information.
Yeah, I will put my email in the chat, and you can write it down. And if your physicist friend would be willing to get some information, you know, a bit of an explanation, or possibly even, you know, the whole gory details of the technology, you know, maybe we'll be able, the actual, if we also understand the Russian, like we have a book about the technology and it's in Russian with the poor translation in English. So we will be actually in a much better position than an English-speaking physicist to get the idea. So I don't know, maybe some sort of a collaboration will be possible.
Yes.
Also maybe to publish some of this material,
He
because for
so
sorry, I
broke
didn't
up
get
there.
the last
You
bit.
broke up there, Carrie, a little bit. But I think it just so we have enough time for another challenge. Let's move on from this one. Exchange. If you could exchange your email, Michael, into the chats, and Carrie, that would probably be a really good relationship to further outside of the conversation as well. Okay, so we have time for another good lengthy one, or maybe even a couple small ones. A challenge that we could work through and think tank together. Raise your hand or just unmic and speak. Corey, let's hear it.
Okay, I think this is a short one. Over the last week, I got some photo passed through my social media somewhere. It said when you take the top off a pineapple and you're going to regrow it, you can split it into 4 pieces. Is that true? Has anybody ever tried that?
I haven't tried it, but I've heard it's true. Has anybody tried it?
I
Don't
just
bother.
got one. I'll try it. How about
Yeah.
that?
I
I'll
would
do
say,
it. I just cut one, so I'll do it. I don't see why it wouldn't work.
Corey, it's going to take ages. Don't do it. I'll send you some proper, pineapples that you can grow in the same year. You grow anything from the top of the fruit, it'll take you 4 years. Don't worry about it. It's take too long. Whether you can do it in 1 or 4, it doesn't make any difference. It's going to take you 4 years. So I can send you, if you can't get anything locally, I've got plenty of pineapple seeds in Colombia that I can send you.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
That was a quick answer. I did have a friend try to grow, and I do remember it taking forever just from the top. So it didn't actually go all the way. I think he didn't wait as long, but he also didn't cut it up into 4. So you were trying to cut that up into 4? Is that what you're saying?
No, but now that I saw that, I was thinking about it.
Okay.
I was thinking this is great because I just, quadrupled my supply in theory. But then I was going to ask, do I do it before it starts growing roots or after, or like at what point's the best time? I don't know.
Be fun just to experiment with if you have 4 years to experiment with it.
Yeah.
I'm willing to experiment.
Yeah, these aren't expensive, so it's not a lot of risk if it doesn't work,
But also take Russ's advice and get some seeds from him. That's a great offer.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. All right. That was a really quick one. Do we have more challenges? Let's work through these.
I don't have a challenge, but I might take this lull as an opportunity to say goodbye and thank everyone. Josh and I hang out here every week, and there's a lot of regulars, which is really nice. And I really love these calls, but unfortunately, I have another podcast to prep for in 30 minutes. So I'll say goodbye during the lull. But yeah, thank you all the way from Australia. We're doing well down here. So cool. See you soon.
See you, Ray. Good to have you.
Cheers, Ray.
All right. Floor's open for another challenge.
I'll throw one in.
Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead, Michelle.
I don't know who was talking. I'm working on I'm going to do an upcoming workshop on regenerative leadership. So my question is, when you think of regenerative leadership, what does that mean to you?
When I think of regenerative leadership, what does that mean to me?
I have an answer for that one, but it might be different than what you all are thinking.
Let's hear it, though. I want to hear it.
when I think of regenerative leadership, I feel like the way that businesses are run these days really needs to be changed. I feel like so many environments are toxic, and they're not good for the workers. They're not good for the business itself. And leadership is in desperate need of some new standards and some new paradigms, just a paradigm shift. And it's not only for the good of the business, but for everyone involved and for the planet. And that's just really how I feel about it. That's not to say that other people are going to feel the same way yet. I tend to be a little bit ahead of the general public. So that's just my 2 cents, Michelle. I hope that is helpful.
Yeah, thanks. I'm just kind of want to gauge people. That's all.
I love the question. So let's say it again. And then I think I have something to share as well.
Yeah.
If anybody else has.
When you think of regenerative leadership, what do you think of, or what comes to mind?
I got something.
Go ahead, Russ.
All right. So I asked this question to Rich Sheffen, who's like a kind of top marketing guru guy, and he came back with this answer. He said, you remember who's the guy who's the actor who did Titanic, Pretty Boy? I can't remember his name, right? What's his name? The pretty guy.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
There you go. That's the one. Right. So yeah, he's done a lot of good things for the environment, right? He's been gone to gone around the world and done documentaries. But this guy said, well, when he flew to address the UN, he flew on his private jet, right? That private jet. What is the carbon footprint of that one particular journey? Probably bigger than my a lot bigger than my combined lifetime of carbon, right? So if you're going to lead, you've got to lead by example, right? So it would have been appropriate that Leonardo took, I'm not going to say he's got to be in with all the cattle class, but he could take a business class, but on a standard flight, not a private jet. That's when you're walking the walk. So I think you've got to lead by example. If you're going to be a leader, you've got to take action. And so, regenerative leaders are ones that are leading by example. They're taking action, and they are giving people, tangible goals that they can believe in, that they can give hope. Okay, right now, people need to have hope. If there's no hope, they're not going to take any action. So if you're going to be a leader, you've got to give hope to the masses. And with that, and also then leading the way by taking action yourself on a personal level, that's being a leader for me. Okay, so that's my version of it.
Great. I love the answer. Michelle.
I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, my thought is we are regenerative leaders in this space. And I think of the entrepreneurs that are creating regenerative change as the ones. I honestly think there's going to have to be, to kind of go along with Russ, those willing to take on risk to make big changes. And who does that? The entrepreneur. And so I look at the entrepreneurs as, especially those that are looking at things more holistically and working to create regenerative change. Those are the people that are taking the action on a very personal level. They're taking it as a part of their goal, their life's work to build solutions, to design solutions, I should say, that are patterned off of living natural systems that are regenerative. And so I look at the entrepreneurs as the leaders, regenpreneurs.
Thanks. Yeah, that's helpful.
I have an opinion about that too. What came to my mind is, I like what everybody said, because I think it's so valuable to have the myriad of the kaleidoscope, of what it means. leadership to me is a lot like what Russ was saying, being an example. And, I feel like I'm a leader in that I'm teaching children permaculture with their families, their parents, them, their grandparents. And in that way, the multi-generation supports whatever there is to come. And, like Russ was saying, that permaculture for him is one of the ways, probably one of the best ways for us to educate ourselves inside of, and then lend that down to the next generations. And I'm a great grandmother. And so it's really important for me to know that when they ask, what did you do? I did as much as I could. I was the little hummingbird that took the one drop to the fire, from the lake to the fire, the forest fire. And that's what has me say that I am a leader in regenerative leadership.
Thanks. I like that a lot, because that brings to mind for me, and something I've been thinking about is in organizations, leadership regeneration should be happening the second an employee walks in the door. There should start being a process for not only how that person's going to do the job, but then how they're also going to lead themselves, because people talked about lead themselves and lead others. So
who they are as a contribution to that regenerative process. Right? Like, who are we all in regards to that regenerative process? It is a process. It's going to take, it took us 50 years to tear it down. It's going to take probably another 250. So it's not only, my great-grandchildren's plight, but it's going to be their great-grandchildren's plight as well. So it's just, I'm busy at work, being wherever I can, making the difference that I can.
Yeah, it's essentially.
I look at it.
Go ahead, Michael.
No, go on, please.
It's essentially, Christy, what you're saying is kind of knowing our place in that kind of grand scheme. I see regenerative leaders being connectors, strong connectors, right? Understanding their place, but also reaching out to others, knowing that they're not going to create, we don't need another silver bullet solution, right? We need collaborative change together. And that's going to take great work on all of our parts, and we're learning to work together. That's one thing that's really hard in as an entrepreneur, is a regenerative entrepreneur especially, is that we can't just say that we know it all and be able to create a widget solution for this specific industry. We got to go beyond that. We have to actually reach out and see how this problem interconnects with other living systems that we don't even understand, and we got to reach out to other people that know those answers and collaborate with them, right? So I see regenerative leaders as collaborate, really good collaborators. Michael.
Yeah, I try to think about it in a bit of an abstract way. And for me, it's the interconnection between two aspects. The first is pioneering a different model. This is, like a new kind of permaculture. If I can convince people it's good for the ecology and good for their finances, I can create a movement. That's the one classic aspect. And the other is on personal and local, you know, kind of the person that is working within his community and other communities to educate people and to create local change. But I think these two aspects are connecting somewhere within the context that within the context of this idea that most of our activity is based on broken models. Like, what does it mean that something is not regenerative? Basically, it's not sustainable. Basically, it's a pyramid scheme. All our institutions are giant pyramid schemes. So a real regenerative leader, the way I see it, he's kind of working within a pyramid scheme to show people by example that something that is not monetized, is not measured, is usually ignored, is actually incredibly important and also can bring them tangible benefits. So I think there is a pattern here that when you can show people, hey, you're doing, like, I'm not going to usually I'm not going to really change the model. I'm not going to create a completely new type of institution. I need to work within the institution, within our communities, and I need to show people, hey, this thing that nobody commoditized and nobody paid attention to, let's say about the community garden or about how do you preserve your seeds or whatever, or how you treat your children, is actually far more important than you thought, and actually creates so much more value in a system for the long term, in a system that is not a pyramid scheme, that instead of it becoming a war, like I have a new model which is at war with your model, I'm actually showing you, hey, you have a better way to do it. You know, I know it's not intuitive, but if you just, you know, do this and this and this, look how much value it can create and how much better you feel about it and how much more sustainable. So somebody that can actually do it, you both have the model pegged, but also found the way to communicate it and hopefully to scale up this communication. I think you kind of have all the ingredients to really become a regenerative leader, or, you know, these are my thoughts.
Thank
Oh,
you.
I love how you ended with communication, Michael, as well, because I think that's probably what we're lacking the most in most of these regenerative projects that we're operating in. It's not the knowledge, the skill, the scientific understanding. It really is, how do we collaborate with one another? How do we communicate properly with others to get these regenerative solutions out there? We probably know more than we've ever known how to or how the impact that we're creating and how we're creating that impact in the world, right? And at the same time, we're creating horrible challenges because, and we still understand how we're creating them, right? And the way we solve those is by actually being able to bring each other together, and that takes really good communication.
I think what I heard the most was connection, you know, from each of us, you know, and here we are strangely connected. This is my first time I'm here. So I'm the first time I'm connected with you leaders of regenerative dream, you know, aspirations, inspirations, conversations, you know, so I think in this room we're leaders in that realm.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I think we also lack language. Sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead and say what you're going to say.
I think part of our problem, I mean, part of it is lack of communication, but part of the lack of communication is that we are only beginning to create a common syntax, like a standardized use of words and ideas, not to mention frameworks. We don't really have frameworks, but even the syntax, even the words, we don't have the words and we don't use them the same. So it's very hard. I think part of the role of like the people that we regard highly as regenerative leaders, because every leader in a way is a regenerative leader. Part of being a leader is to regenerate what you are doing. But the noteworthy ones are ones that promote, like they find a new frontier, and sometimes it's very explicit. They make some words famous. They emphasize some aspect that is very needed at a specific moment, and they become like champions of this, maybe locally, maybe more globally, but there is an emphasis involved. And I think this is a part of our problem. It's so new and moving so fast that we need people that have some deep knowledge in one aspect of this to be champions and create, maybe together, a few of those, create kind of standardized conceptions which enable the communication, the talk, to grow and create like a zeitgeist. And then you look back and you say, oh, this person, he wrote this book, and then everybody started to talk about X. But it's really a problem. We don't even have the word X. And I think this is part of why these places like this are so important.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Two things. So like with Christy, what she said about connections, I feel like that's, and I think systems thinking, I think some, you know, an upper level regenerative leader, like I think everyone can be that, but needs to know like what's going on in the system and put things together and connect all the time. And then Michael, I like what you said, something that I have been doing in my workshops, almost every single one of them, is because it, you know, even though a word has a definition, like a Webster's dictionary definition, that's not how language works, really, right? Words, like pictures come in, and that's why I asked the question, what is regenerative leadership to you? And we all had different pictures and images and words that came to mind. So in my workshops, I do that almost with everything I do. Like, what is, like, even if I'm working like in the hunting community or something like that, I'm like, what does hunting mean to you? And there's not a single two people that have the same answer in a community that should have a same answer, but they don't. So it just, you know, a lot of times I use word clouds too, to show like, this is the image of the word we're talking about. Like, this is the like kind of the boundaries of the word we're talking about. So yeah, I appreciate that you said that. Thank you.
I also think it's important. I think it's great market research for you, Michelle, to recognize the buckets that we were kind of talking about here, right? Because we did kind of coalesce on similar areas, right? And getting that language, you know, the keywords, the word cloud, whatever you want to call it, and figuring out those bigger buckets that you can start to really pick up and resonate with. I think will be helpful to you as you're building out an understanding of regenerative leadership for others, and how they are explaining what that means to them and the transformation of them becoming a regenerative leader, right? I believe that's what you're using this for, is a bit of market research. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of have what I'm going to do, but I'm like, well, I'm going to take the opportunity, since we have the time, to see what this group says, because it's a nice, at least international community. So awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, it was good to get the workshop through that. Okay, we have probably a 10-minute challenge that we have 10 more minutes that we can spend for another challenge. So we can't have something too lengthy, but if we have about something that we can workshop in regards to that, or we can even linger here on this conversation, because I think it's really fascinating as well.
I have one.
I'll share mine since I'm new. Oh, go ahead, Carrie. I want to hear yours.
Are you sure? You can go ahead if you want, Christy.
Carrie, I think
Okay,
I think it's you. You're going.
Let me see if I can share. Maybe I can bring it up on here. I'm putting together a dog blog that I want to share part of my life on the farm with people, because these guys, they just make everybody smile. And so I wanted to, but at the same time, my brand is really kind of bold and edgy. We have a whole lot of cats because we couldn't get the mamas fixed in time. And I put together, I don't think I can share it, but maybe you all can see it. Let's see.
I opened up the share screen, so you should be able to share it if you're.
Let me see. I don't know. I don't think I do, but I think I can do it now. Okay. Maybe I do actually. Hang on. It will just be 1 second.
No worries.
I'll just tell you a little story
The
while we're waiting.
suspense.
I was talking to you guys, and my phone goes, and my neighbor saying, "Hey, there's a snake in my kitchen." So I just went just while I was talking to you, I said, "I'm on a Zoom call." So anyway, I went around there, and there was a little snake, and I just picked it up, put it in a bag, and then put it by the river. So stop it being killed by somebody else. It would just machete it rather than rescue it from someone's kitchen. But a little bit of fun snake rescue in the early evening here in Colombia. Just thought I'd share that with you.
It's the small things that count. Thanks, Russ, for doing that.
Do you know the type of the snakes? Were you sure it's not poisonous?
I'm not sure it wasn't poisonous. It looks like a snake that I put, I don't know if you know the application. If you don't know it, iNatura. So basically last week I found one that looked pretty similar to the one I just saw now, took a picture, put it on Natura, and it identified as like a leopard, something mildly venomous. So not super venomous, mildly venomous. So, I've been around here 5 years and dealt with snakes, and from a certain size, I'm pretty comfortable with them. The big ones, I'm just gonna walk away. Tell them to just give them time, give them space. Give them space, they'll go away.
Yeah, on some species, sometimes the smaller one are actually more poisonous. Just so.
It's not that they're more poisonous, it's that they don't have control over their injection of the venom, right? So a big one will say, hey, I've got so much, and I'm just going to give you a little bit. The little ones, they just give you everything they've got. So they're more dangerous in that sense.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to probably learn this when I'm in Panama. Carrie, are you ready?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. So Oh, I can't start screen share while it says I can't, I don't know. It says you cannot start screen sharing.
There you
while
go. I was
participants-
still sharing my computer sound is what it was from the music earlier. So go ahead.
Okay. Okay. This is my picture. It's a little bit offensive, but I just wanted a little bit of feedback. So here it is. Okay.
Let's see.
There we go.
Oh, here it goes. Here it goes. No, I don't have any context for this, so.
Okay. This is just kind of my, I wanted to say whatever I want about these crazy things that my animals are doing on the farm. And just, I don't know. I'm kind of a irreverent kind of person, I suppose, in a lot of ways. Not like this little Miss Press. But I have a lot of things that I want to share, and a lot of things that are really funny about my animals that some people would go, oh my gosh, that's a little bit, wow, you just said that. Yes, you did. So
I think my daughter would love it. So I think she would just go for the cat sluts. So she loves anything cats, and I think it's brilliant. It's funny, and you know, you got to be a little irreverent once in a while.
Yeah. And that's the thing about me. It's just like, if I'm not, then I'm just like everybody else around me, you know? And, you know, I want you to know when you look at it going in, this is for you if you kind of appreciate that kind of stuff. And, you know, so I don't know.
I say be true to who you are and your personal brand. That is on brand for you. Just stick with it. Like don't dim it down just because you feel it's inappropriate for someone, or it's not going to reach you know, the masses. It's not necessarily supposed to reach the masses, right? You want to make sure that it resonates with at least the people that you want it to, right? And it's not going to. If you're trying to reach everybody, you're reaching no one essentially, right? And you want to really deeply reach someone. So I say stick to what it is that is truly you. And I think I noticed that in your conversation, or just how you presented yourself this last time. You were talking about lawyers essentially, right? I think and working with lawyers and coaching lawyers, and now you've really stepped into what you really want to do, and that just came across so much more clear. It was very clear and concise, and I understood it, and I felt the emotion behind it, which made me want to be a part of it. And so I think when you're describing this, you just saying that that it's irreverent or whatever, almost dulled the effect of what it could have been, right? If you would have just came in with the explanation of, this is a blog, I'm telling you what it is. You know, I'm telling you my irreverent life essentially, and the crazy things that go on, and I want you to know a little bit more about myself. And this is me, right? And then you can then talk about it. And if you think it's irreverent, sorry, you know, maybe after the fact you could say something. Apologize afterwards, after actually getting yourself out there, right?
Yeah,
So
be bold.
What's that?
Be bold. You know,
Yeah,
with your
this is me. Be bold.
It's great.
Coda agrees.
Yeah.
I think you
He just-
can.
Oh, we didn't hear the rest of it, Michael. Go ahead.
I think you can count on some people trolling you, and you can count on some people being offended, especially in this political climate. I hope you are not slut shaming, but since you made it very explicit that this is humor, so I think you should explicitly disregard people that take you too seriously. Like, you know, if people, because this is part of, there is this new trick now that people take what somebody said as a joke and treat it as if it's their opinion. And if as an opinion it's not politically correct, then it implies it's not politically correct to say it as a joke. So I think that, you know, taking into account this new tendency and taking into account internet trolls, you can be very certain that many people will, you know, be completely offended and attack you. And if you are willing to, you know, just to simply not take them too seriously, I think it's great. I find it, you know, funny and interesting. But if you think it may be hard for you, like if you think it will be almost impossible for you, you know, not to read mentions on Twitter, and if somebody attacks you, you will really get bogged down. Unless you need a training session, unless this is what you want to do, you want to fortify yourself. So maybe just, you know, maybe say, okay, this is maybe not for me, not right now, you know. But I think it's good. I think it's, yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. This would be really good training for me putting my other more important things out there later on. So thank you for bringing that up. So that's, yes, I think I really need to do it. Thank you.
Carrie, you might want to look into brand archetypes. We've had this conversation before on here, but that's a common brand archetype, is the gesture, right? And to be authentic is also understanding how you're coming across and being consistent in coming across that way, and it builds an authentic brand. So in brand archetypes, it kind of uses there's several different characters that show up in patterns throughout time. You know, like Harley Davidson, for example, is a brand that exemplifies the rebel. Apple is the creative, right? And so the gesture, I think, is part of it, but kind of finding your combination of maybe 2 or 3 brand archetypes might give you a good rounded understanding of how you can present yourself and consistently show up in that way for your brand.
Yeah, thank you. I'll look into that. My current tagline for my personal brand is Huskies, Harleys, and Hot Mess. So
You got a rebel gesture going on right there, right? Wonderful. So let's close down the challenge part of this discussion, and let's share our takeaways for the week. What we're going to take away for our coming week, and what we're going to put into our business from the conversation that we had today. So I will get started with that. For me, I'm just going to look at some of the notes I took here and see what really connected most with me. But I really enjoyed your question, Michelle. When you think of regenerative leadership, what does it mean to you? It gave me a understanding that we all have to kind of show up to make this change, and that it takes collaboration, connection, but also that pioneering spirit. And so what I'm kind of taking away is how I can, and what I'm going to be pondering essentially. My takeaway is a ponder of how I can connect kind of those three of connection, a pioneering spirit, and communication. So yeah, that's my takeaway. I'm going to pass it over to, let's see here. I'll pass it over to Michelle, since that's where I got my takeaway.
Yeah, I thank you. I underlined a few words from people's various, so connection, language, which has to do probably with communication, language, hope. I like pioneering spirit. And let me think, like, oh yeah, so pioneering spirit, willing to take risks. And then the multi-generational thing, I think that was the word that Christy used, but I think of, when I think of it, I think, as soon as an organization should have something, a leadership pathway or a learning pathway for everyone that starts the day they walk in. So yeah, that was awesome. And I liked the interesting, not engineering, physicist question. Totally, I have no idea about.
And Michelle, just pass it over to someone. Okay.
Christy.
Thank you, Michelle. I thought that was an interesting question too. And, what I'm taking away is, being connected with you guys, who are having conversations about regeneration. What does it mean? Like, that's an important conversation to ponder. And I really appreciated my time here with you guys, and the sharing is awesome. And for me, being a pioneer, being that drum beater that is out there doing the work and spreading the word. So since it's my first time, I don't really know how I'm gonna interject it into my everyday life. But I really appreciate everyone, learning about each and everyone's project and what they're up to, and to know that no matter where in the world we are connected. So thank you,
Christy.
guys. And I'll pass it to Michael.
Awesome. Thank you.
What I will take for this week, some of the suggestions. When I meet Solomon, I may bring vodka. I will try not to make it personal, which is also, we do try to up our game regarding implementation, planning, business plans, etc. So I think it's a good opportunity to have this talk kind of in a more general terms regarding the whole team. And yeah, I will generally try to take your suggestions to heart. Yeah, thank you.
Corey says bye, but he had to leave. So we are at time. So if you guys do need to go, that's totally fine. But Russ, I think hasn't shared, and I think you're the last one, Russ.
Okay. So.
Oh, and Carrie. I'm sorry, Carrie.
Okay, I'm going then. What did I say? Certainly the multi-generational teaching of permaculture I thought was fantastic. And I could see definitely the benefits of that, the way that children can, really be, well, they're the future, but they're also the present, and they're often the motivation why parents do things, right? So, if you often the kids come in from school, hey mum, dad, let's do this. So if you're involved in that whole process, from the get-go with the multiple generations, it will probably be the children that actually follow it through to create the action from the adults. And of course, they're going to benefit from seeing their parents do it. And it's that bonds the community, the bonds the family as well. So I thought that was quite an interesting takeaway. And the second one was related to Michael's question. And I think the question also relates to any particular difficult member of a team or family. And so, as someone said, rather than make it an individual, kind of not attack, but in the sense that it's about you. It's instead of putting that on the spot, make it about us. Okay, so having a team meeting, having a family meeting, and where I live, the Kogis, they do community meetings. They sit there with their mammon, the spiritual leader, and they take poporo, like a kind of coca leaf, and it basically stimulates them to talk and to stay awake. Not too dissimilar from cocaine in some respects, but obviously a cleaner version. And they confess, right? And they confess in front of everybody. They just do. They can't get away from it. But they confess their sins. Hey, I looked at your wife, kind of, she was a bit sexy, whatever, and now everybody knows about it. Or I stole some of your, bananas. Oh, well, you've got to pay those back, So that's how they actually keep balance in their communities, which is, the mammon kind of sits there as he's the king in a sense, and dishes out, the not say punishments, but you've got to pay somehow or another, right? So that's how they do it. But I thought, just from a business point of view, from a family point of view, rather than taking someone apart separately, if you do it as a group, actually there's more power, and there's more. Then it's not just me and you said it; it's the whole group, and so there's that balance that everybody can support each other. So that's my takeaways.
That's wonderful, Russ. We have a similar thing in our culture, in my religion, which is at the Church of Jesus Christ, the Latter-day Saints, also known as Mormons, right? And we do family councils, and we also have community councils.
Mormons.
So we do councils, and so that's always been a really good piece for our family dynamic and solving and resolving challenges with others. And Carrie, if you want to share your takeaway.
I just, as everyone else, I really enjoyed listening to everyone talk about what it means to be a leader in the Regenpreneurship space. And that was so cool, just listening to everyone's different takes, and just, I loved listening to everyone's shares today. Just the whole thing was just mind blowing. Like I want to go back and listen to it over and over. That was just, I love connecting with people from all over the world, and especially with people who are in a similar mindset space, looking to really make an impact. That's just phenomenal. And also I want to say thank you so much for your input on my blog. I think that I have to name it as I have named it, because as Michael said, it is going to give me a really good taste of what I'm in for when I start really saying what I think and trying to be an influencer and really putting myself out there. It's been, you know, an issue for me in the past, is trying to deal with other people's stuff. And that's something that I have been really steeling myself up to deal with. And it's just like, okay, it's just them dealing with their stuff. It's them dealing with their stuff. Let them deal with their stuff. And so I think this will be a really good intro. So thank you. Awesome. Thank you for your feedback, everyone.
Wonderful. I think we took a lot from today, and I'm so very grateful for each of you and what you've shared and bringing yourself to this this call in so many ways. You've showed up, and I thank you for that. So we are over time. Thanks again. Please come again. This is the Regenpreneur Think Tank, and we'll see you next week, Thursday.